Greetings everybody, my name is Tommy the Game Master and welcome to my channel. Well, the last time I personally bought a Dragon Ball Z game was so long ago that it still had the Atari logo on it. And there's a reason for it. Although most of the Dragon Ball Z games that have come to America have been fairly decent, there have been one or two really crappy games like the Legacy of Goku. But for the most part, most of the games I've played over here have been pretty solid. And I would even say some like Budokai 3 deserve a spot on the actually really good fighting game list for being somewhat original. Problem with Dragon Ball Z and its games though is that DBZ ended 25 years ago or so. And because of that, there's no new content coming out for these games. So what we get is we get to see the battle with Frieza again, we get to beat the crap out of Cell, we get to battle with Boo, and after a while it gets just a little bit redundant, to the point where I kind of got sick of it and just started to ignore Dragon Ball Z games. Well, last winter I saw this on sale for $10, figured I could give it a try and see if I liked it. So after playing through this game, did I enjoy playing it, or did I waste $10 just to beat the crap out of Frieza and Cell again? Well, let's find out if this is actually worth the purchase, shall we? Okay, let me start this segment right away by saying the story in this game sucks. I'll give them props on doing something different rather than just hashing the Dragon Ball Z storyline again, but again, it's nothing special or anything to really write home about. Basically, the Supreme Kai of Time has tricked future Trunks into being her time enforcer and keeping the timeline in order. However, when someone starts screwing with the timeline and causing the heroes of the Dragon Ball universe to lose their fights, Trunks gathers the Dragon Balls and wishes on Shenron for a partner to help him figure out what's going on. This leads you into a character customization screen where you can select several different races. You got Nameks, humans, Saiyans, Majins, and even Frieza's race is able to play. I might one day give Nameks or Frieza's race a try, but let's face it, we all play Dragon Ball Z games so we can go Super Saiyan, so I of course chose the Saiyans as my race. Anyways, after that, Trunks starts to send you on missions where the timeline is going all crazy and help the characters who need to win. This is actually interesting, just seeing how the timeline goes all crazy at the beginning of every arc, and small changes leading to huge repercussions, like Frieza changing into his final form first and forcing your character to buy the characters in the story the extra time needed for Goku to wake up and join the fight, or one where Hercule, who is possessed by an evil energy, was able to beat up Goku and Gohan before the Cell games begin, was very interesting. The problem comes with the main plot as a whole. It may do one or two things differently, but let's not kid ourselves. We're still pretty much beating the crap out of Frieza and Cell again, but to distract us from this, we now have Toa and her henchman, Mira. Toa is the sister of Deborah, the Demon King. Oh, you're asking me who he is? Well, he was a very minor character in the Buu saga. So forgettable that despite that we have a name drop, or that the main villain is a sister who's out for the revenge of his death, they still completely cut out his part in the game story. He's neither a playable character as far as I can figure, nor are there any scenes with him in it as far as story cutscenes, which makes the fact that she's his sister completely pointless.
Here's the situation. Toa may want revenge on Buu for killing her brother Deborah.
And yeah, if her whole motivation is trying to get her brother back, and she can control and manipulate time, why not just go back and pull him away from the fight with Majin Buu before he got killed? Why cause so much chaos that it gets Trunks' attention to begin with? But it gets worse. These two are like Golbez from Final Fantasy IV. They're just the frontman stooges for the real villain. Who is this guy? Who looks like he's a complete reject of Dolmagus from Dragon Quest VIII. Who just wants to destroy the timeline because, well, he's evil. I will give them credit for putting in Beerus, the god of destruction, into this game's story, not just as a fight in one of the story chapters, but someone who pops up to handle the main plot and confront the villain. I enjoy this character. He's not outright evil, he's just insanely powerful and ill-tempered, and that does lead to a fair bit of comedy when it comes to the characters doing their best not to piss him off. But a lot of the plot comes off as bad fan fiction. Overall, the story wasn't the greatest. It did at least keep me entertained and provide me something different to play as than Super Saiyan Goku beating up Frieza or Gohan beating up Cell, so I will have to give that to them. But it's not great storytelling, unfortunately. I'll give the game this though. The gameplay is far more addictive and fun than I would have originally given credit for. At first glance, I thought this game was going to be like the Tenkaichi series, which was somewhat limited and had some confusing controls. While the controls are a bit convoluted in some instances, it is for the most part easy enough to understand. Two buttons on the face pad control the strength of your punches. The shoulder buttons control things like blocking, teleporting, and using your special equipable moves. And the D-pad lets you use your healing items that you can get throughout the game. It took me a while and a bit of practice to understand all of it, but in the end I found myself quite comfortable with the controls, and the battles can be intense when you have several characters just fighting on screen at once, and it was a lot of fun, even if it did get into some frustration when it came to trying to figure out what was going on with so many things happening on the battlefield at once. And the game does offer quite a bit of customization options too. Clothing and armor to customize your characters and the way they look and alter your stats, but also plenty of unlockable new moves can be bought in the game's main hub city called Toki Toki City. One of my favorite things about the game, even if it did lead to a few times where I had to grind for an item I needed or to get a certain score on a mission to complete these scenarios, is your ability to take on a Dragonball character as your master and learn their ability. I of course chose Vegeta and had to complete a guide in order to learn his movesets, but having the Gallic gun and his Final Flash plus some of his Z-Soul accessories, which gave me a random boost in battle when it came to using his moves, made the game easier and a lot more fun, and having him heckle me every time I lost was also kind of amusing.
What a mess! And you call yourself my apprentice?
Next to the character customization, there was also an RPG-esque level up and customization that comes with deciding what to put on your stats from said level up. The nice thing about the game is if you keep doing missions that you are more or less on the level, you level up fairly quickly without too much either a grind or a frustrating headache. But even if you do manage to get your ass handed to you, the game still gives you quite a bit of EXP and money just for trying, so you never feel like you didn't get anything out of a narrow defeat, and it's worth your time to try again. And there are plenty things to do. While Trunks missions are basically variations of the Dragon Ball Z storyline, you can go to a booth in Toki Toki City to do some side missions that are either online or offline. And due to the age of this game, yeah, I didn't find anyone online, so I had to do all of them offline. And a lot of them are fun. Some have you teaming up with the bad guys or actually being the bad guy, beating up the heroes, and having one-side events happen that are a lot of fun and a really great distraction from the main game. Overall, while there were some frustrating missions like having to stop Frieza here, or a few of the side missions just throwing everything at you but the kitchen sink, I never felt discouraged that the game was either too hard or too easy, or that there wasn't something else that I could do to level up my character. I never really felt stuck, which is nice in a fighting game that sometimes happened. It happened to me quite a bit with the Tenkaichi series. That said, I enjoyed every minute more than I thought I would. The game does have online modes that I didn't talk much about in this review, but considering the age of this game and the fact that it has a sequel, that didn't surprise me, and I didn't find anyone online playing this. Graphically, Xenoverse for the most part isn't too bad. The cel shading is top notch and looks like a shiny version of the original 90s anime, and the arenas also look close to their counterparts. Overall, it looks nice. My only complaint might be the camera got lost a few times, but other than that, it's a perfect looking game. With the exception of some of the animated cutscenes that are 2D, yes, it's nice to see some digital Dragon Ball images, but this is far from being great animation. In fact, the original 90s version of DBZ looked better than some of these really awkward cutscenes. The game opens up with a remake of Head Shala, which actually sounds like it now fits with Dragon Ball Z. The original one, which was just a slow tempo song that sounded like it came out of the 1950s, didn't do justice to the series, and I enjoyed this remix. The voice actors from Dragon Ball Z Kai all reprise their roles here, and they do a decent enough job.
Filthy monkey.
Transform, Frieza! Why don't you show everyone your real form right now?
Transform?
There are some aliens who can transform when a particular situation calls for it.
Dragon Ball Z to me was a good anime from when I was younger. That just got a little bit too popular back in the day, and it was shown so much that I think it got a little stale. Similarly, the same can be said about the games. No new content, but a new game every year, which means you just spend most of your time beating the crap out of Frieza endlessly. The good news is there is, or I should say was, a new Dragon Ball show called Dragon Ball Super that gave us a few new villains to tussle with and a few new characters that are interesting, like Beerus, for example. So hopefully the newer Dragon Ball games won't be as stale. Overall, I enjoyed this game as well. I don't know if I would necessarily recommend it for $20, but definitely put it on your Steam wishlist. When it's on sale for $10, it's definitely worth a pickup. Well guys, that's it for this video. If you want to, feel free to click on the subscribe button. I'd love to have you as a member of my community. And if you have any questions on this video, feel free to leave a comment down below.